Greetings people, what's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics. Thank you guys for waiting patiently. Big up to Edward Moyo, Martin Zoboka, Jay Sibs, Kuzanayo Simo, Tino Tenda, Michael, and Mr. Rusimo, everybody who's watching us live right about now. We all remember, guys, a few days ago, Mazuwa Shoma Afura, Vakazembe Kazembe, Minister of Home Affairs, Vakaita press briefing yao yaraita ura addressing the nation, right? Vaine joke general right now we are having a clip that was shared. Army General Valero Sibanda vachitaura interesting issues. I'm gonna play the clip, then we're gonna talk about it. Is something happening or something is happening? Which one is it, right? So we're gonna take a closer look. Zoom things go Zvirikuitika Zimbabwe vakaita press briefing yavo vaine vakomana vanochengeta nyika, right? Asi vasika Zimbabwe do vaitaura right now. Then we have now the Army General Valero Sibanda vachitaura nevanhu, but this content is shared pama social media pages akanzi ZANU PF. We are now having the Army General Ivo Vegambune vachitaura slamming corruption. We also have an issue, something that happened today or yesterday, whenever it happened, it doesn't matter. Zimbabwe shuts down anti-corruption. Zimbabwe anti-corruption offices ZACC shut down. Zvikunzi maoffices avarwa nekuda kweCovid-19 hanzi vamwe varwere vabatwa neCovid-19. But ndizvo zvaitika here, ndizvo zvirikuitika. Is this what is happening? Then we also have other stories where Kupe recalls more members of parliament, the MDC alliance. Are we seeing diversion of attention to divert us from things that really matter? Things that really matter. What really matters? What really matters for a Zimbabwean? Chine basa sterek kumu Zimbabwean. Ma politician edu anotimirira anofanira kubuda advocate for what issues. Na uye masalari here, masalari ngawedzerwe. Na uye kuti chingwa ngachichipere, chingwa ngachiwedzerwe. Ndo ma issue anofanira kumiririrwa nevari kutimiririra here right now. But anyways, we first gonna begin with the video Army General Valero Sibanda, and we're gonna be analyzing it. TSA, big up to Simbalashe Gandiwa, Godisi, Tino Tenda, Michael Muskanda. Right now, guys, before I play the video, I want this to get in our mind. We watch this video. Tine Pfungwaye kuti varikuti mirira here kurutwa ma recall ema members of parliament achidzoka kudzimba. Handitika kwete vasinja recall vakachinja ma side ivavo vakambomirira zvido zvevanhu here. Ma issues api avakamirira vanhu, kana kuti vanochangamuka chete kana vasisina mabasa. Vanhu pavanenge vachida vanhu vachida kuvoterwa, they come, they campaign, they do a lot of things. Chii chinozoita kuti vamire kana vapedza kukampena? Ko pavano kampena mari dzinobva kupi? Right? So right now our leaders representing us, vatungamiriri vedu vari kutimiririra here zvido zvedu, uye kana vachitimirira ma issues, ndo ma issues atinofanira kunge tichimiririrwa here. Ma issue ekuwedzerwa kwemari yemasalaries emanesi, kana kuti issue imwe iripo ndeyekuti ko 60 million iri kupi, iri kudzoka here? And even before we go there, what should be our focus right now? Should we focus on the next election? Nyika toisiya ichiora right now. This question will help us to see who is for us and who is not. Because, ladies and gentlemen, politics is a dirty game. But who is dirty? The one who lives with sewages is the one who is dirty, not the one who sleeps in hotels, who have mansions kumana America kunana chichi vakasitirira mabosi vanotorerwa maassets maiziya. So guys, without wasting any time, we're just gonna jump straight to video ya general. Big up to Prince Niza, thank you very much for that 10 US support via PayPal. Glory Hunter says Zazo Nyanya, things are getting out of hand, no one seems to care. Kunda Mchemo, enough respect. Simbarashi Gandiwa, everybody who's watching us live, guys, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to TV7 Live if you have not yet already done so. Alright guys, this is it.
To help us with this discussion, rather, we have one of the finest freedom fighters and celebrated and well-decorated commanders in this nation in our era.
Gagisa in 1974, when we arrived at Morogoro in Tanzania. I think it was February or March, end February, beginning of March, I think.
Right, so we're gonna go with this step by step. First of all, the approach, your presentation. Take note of the approach, your presentation. In a asha, in a humility, in a chi. Is there a hidden message? Do we have a subliminal message in this one? Let's continue.
We've been transported from Zambia overnight. In fact, we spent 2 nights on the road, and we got to Morogoro, and there was this group of instructors at Morogoro Training Center. Gagisa was one of them. Brigadier General retired Mlea was another. The late Sgoge was another. The late Major General Maseko was another. And the camp was under the command of the late Sam Fakasi. Gagisa was responsible for physical training and work.
Okay, so far we are seeing Kuti, he's coming in. Nenau yanlea kutaura history. Takadaisa kuhondo kuna nlea akapa kufa manje. He then speaks. Okay, so the first question we should ask ourselves is, Zimbabwe takambozviona here zvinhu zvakadai so zvichiitika before? Have we ever seen something like this happening in Zimbabwe before? Kana kuti ndeoke kutanga. Anyways, ndichaita ndichiskipa some parts, like right now ndikuskipa. We make a point, then we're going to come back to that video, but we're going to come here pane video anyway. Things good pane this one parkunzi chi
And value of sharing that we was being cultivated amongst us.
He talks about the value of sharing, right? Yesterday, day before yesterday, we did a video, Operation Restore Leniency, where we are talking about Ubuntu, right? He's talking about value of sharing here.
That after independence, some of us went wayward.
After independence, some of us went wayward and we started amassing a lot of wealth. And take note of the part of the phrase, some of us. Take note of Panonzi, some of us. Remember, Operation Restore Legacy yakaitirwe yi. Operation Restore Legacy, when it happened, zvikazvakomana wakaba ngati chimbo yake nyika anditika. So what happens? Masoja, if you look to America, munhu akangoita musoja anotanga kurespectwa, because moment yaonda musoja, you no longer belong to yourself, nyangoka resigner, you now belong to the nation. That's why patraining masoja achibviswa civilian, because they are no longer civilian, right? That's why they are taught patriotism and being ZANU-PF are two different things, right? But you're taught love for your nation, you're taught love. That's why you see kumarain pakatika any problem. right? Pakada kubatsirwa vanhu, munhu anotanga kubatsira vanhu musoja kazhinji kachona, right? So now he's talking about some of us. Who is some of us? Is this an indirect message? Who is some of us? After Chiwondo, some of us started amassing wealth for themselves. Some of us. Who is some of us? Some of us is Zimbabwe, some of us who? And why use the phrase some of us? Is this showing humility? Is this a hidden message? Is something brewing in Zimbabwe? Let's continue. No. Alright, apologies.
We started amassing wealth, we started getting involved in corruption and so on. But we were taught to share. And it's a value that a lot of us retain today.
Well, there's a saying which goes,
zvanzi vamwe vedu obva vatora masoja akawanda havana wealth iri stereki anonzi mabosi achona. If you want to see kuti mafacts andikutaura zvinomeka sense, kune vanomboita makesi mumakoti especially emadivorce, just look at least rema-assets anonzi vanawo, unoona kuti mufesi haana ma-assets. So opposition is still legacy. Zvikanzi vakomana vakaba. Right now we should focus on developing the nation. There was an agreement, there were agreements that were made. But how many years after Operation Restore Legacy? Yes, the legacy been restored. Who is for the people right now? Diani arikumirira zvido zvevanhu izvezvi panguva ino zvanhasi, kuti ini ndidye nhasi iwewe udye nhasi. Diani arikumirira vanhu panguva ino right now? It's a question. Ngairambe iri musoro medu as we continue. I'll be reading your comments also, guys. I'll be reading your comments. Big up to Amazing Grace Anzi. Jiri say. Glory Hunter. Jiri say. Prosper Makombedze. Anzi ndapindira pamhepo just now. Chibaba chakamuka sei nai. So tinotora nyaya yembavha dziri kubira vanhu munyika munomu. Right? So I'll be giving you hints. Okay? Totaura now ye corruption. Toita say nazvo right now. Ko imo muZimbabwe kubva 1980. Atina vamwe vanhu vanokwanisa kutungamirirawo here. Cool. Alright, anyways, big up to everybody. Keep your comments coming, guys. I'll try and read everybody's comments, so keep them coming. Anyways, let's continue.
Also, tactics. Small body, but very active. Very active. And when we got there, we didn't know initially, but he had been nicknamed by a previous group that they trained, and his nickname was Doko. So he would, from time to time, if you messed up, he would say, "Yeah, Doko," you know. But he was a very good instructor, very humble somebody you could work with and relate to. After training, well, I went elsewhere for training, came back, and I became an instructor also, working under this team that was already there. And then I got to know him a lot better when I became one of the instructors. And this persisted up to 1976 when I left Morogoro for Zambia. And we were, from that time, we were no longer working together. But he was now elevated into the ZIPRA High Command. And he held many positions in that in the command up to about the time of our independence.
Oh, thank you very much, General. You mentioned that the late Comrade Lay was a humble man, and you have worked with him before independence, and you also went to work with him after independence. So from the character of this revolutionary icon, what exactly are virtues and issues that we can learn from and be passed on to the next generation?
Well, one,
still we are talking about Leah, right? Valerius Banda, General Valerius Banda, vari mu office yipi? It seems like vari mu office mavo. So tingati video iyi yakatorwa kwa hivi kwa gamba ere kana kuti yakaplanwa, it's a planned thing. Still on that, pane nawo Zvirikuitika Zimbabwe muno MDC Alliance mo MPs vakuramba vachitwa recall nemsikana anonzi Kupe uyu. So latest one it call for one. Then pane nawo yanga ichitendera ichinzi new MDC headquarters pachitendera ma picture, right? So these photos are from, I think it's from 2019, right? As you can see, power harvest also papo ma renovations aiitwa. I don't know why these photos were making rounds. Then we have this one, these ones, which is MDC new headquarters. Do they have a new headquarters? I don't know about that. One new headquarters here. Your harvest house yanzi ile mzita. There is some other people, right? Harvest house ile mzita some other people. The first question is, my assets in a political party. Why political party assets put in individuals' names? Remember, paka splitter Morgan Changirai na BT. My assets akawanda angari mzitare company where BT was one of the directors. Why are political party assets in individuals' names? Even Kuzan PF, we saw the Chicha Itika Panauye Blue Roof mention. So why are political party assets in individuals' names? Remember, political parties are pushing for democracy. We are pushing for democracy. So kana muna ma assets ari mstara ake akajigiwa paka position kadiki anobuda ere yukanza abangonzora mushadiwe nevanhu vajigiwa anobuda ere mpati kanti anoda kutanga kudzvanyirira zvainazvo hausi uorere haisi corruption here. So what was the agenda yemunhu uyu kupinda politics? Because if two people vanhu mukamizidzana election one akadyiwa, why should you hate each other? Because politics, anyways, government is all about kumiririra vanhu zvido zvevanhu zvinodikanwa. So Kupe recall, what's her agenda? Does that really matter? Already MDC Alliance yakadyiwa majority ma members of parliament aina representation yakwana mu parliament, right? Pana ma issues akawanda kamboitika kuti ma MP ainzi no boycott pakaitikawo mamwe ma issues yekuti ma MP vakaramba kuti boycott, but because vanga vakawanda vaisateerera president wavo, then Chamisa recalled a few varamba kuteerera the boycott, right? Information inenge ichibuda. So we can safely say those who were recalled vakakwanisa kuti recall vose ma sellouts, they are concerned about masits avo, mari dzavo nemotikari. We can safely say that kuti vatengesi vari kuda mari saka vatsvukuvaziya. But all this zviri kuitika haisi drama here, haisi gimmick here. Kokana iri drama iri gimmick, who is the leader? Zvinozora 60,000 here, zvinozora 5 billion here. And if we focus on 5 billion, zvinoita kuti ndidye nhasi here. Right now we're having an issue yanetsa muZimbabwe yeprice yefuel. So a lot of guys are focusing on issues dzisina musoro. Issue ine musoro concerning price yefuel. Issue yekuti fuel yedu haisi 100% gasoline. Fuel yedu ine ethanol. Ethanol ne gasoline chii chinodhura. Nditi say fuel yemuZimbabwe tichizikana chichigejerwa maprice because munhu ari kunyebera vanhu, ari kunyebedzera kumirira vanhu vachiti fyo yakwira muZimbabwe munomu. Munhu ari kupretenda kumirira vanhu, ari kumirira vanhu nenyaya yeprice, because tikazokombera nemaprice edzimwe nyika, we will see kuti in terms of US dollars price yefuel iyoyo iri okay, iri normal, but already we are not focusing on kuti fuel yatinayo it's not 100% gasoline, it's not 100% pure petroleum, ine ethanol yakawanda kutodarika. It's really sad. So the big question is, why are political party assets in individual names? And what is happening right now, just my recall is, does it matter for the people? So Father Emaere is now this new spokesperson with MDC Alliance. Father Emaere ananzi baba wake vaiva PMSEC muhurumende yeZANU-PF, baba vaFadza Emaere. But anyway, iyo ngatisiyane nayo. In the meantime, Izvezvi, let's go to another one. Who is representing people right now, and what really matters right now? Zvinebasa Izvezvi, ndiani ari kumiririra zvinobatsira vanhu. So we're gonna play video yankululeko Sibanda. Remember that Father Emaere, of course, angari independent last election, and it about join a political party. Achisikono join a political party. Achingosko join a political party over poor chigaro. Remember, we are talking about democracy here. Tukutaura nezve democracy. Father Emaere ari kujoin a political party. Munhu watinoziva kuti baba wake ndi former PMSEC. Aungoite PMSEC ya from ndofunga muri kuona madiresa yana covid kuti pakamutwa tender process here. But anyway, tender process inoitwa here and there kuitira cover up. You also need a few legitimate people. Anyways, let's not waste time and go.
Constitutionalism was what mattered. This euphoria that you have, where people get excited about an individual. Are we all acting like children here?
I really understand your concerns, and I think your concerns are also my concerns, and also my concerns. But look, we have buried our leader. I'm hoping that we will come together and see sense in how to move forward. I, for one, would advise any of our leaders to follow the Constitution. No matter if the acting president acts for 2 weeks or 1 week. The processes in the elections of in the MDC, when a Congress is called, a normal Congress, we give 2 months notice. And the 2 months notice means restructuring from the branch, ward, district, province, and to national. So we can do all that in 2 months. So the issue of time is not a question, which means we only need at least 2 or 3 weeks, just 3 weeks, for us to announce.
So here we have Nkululeko Sibanda, spokesperson wa Chamisa. Here we are seeing kuti aito criticize achitanya constitutionalism, right? So say ku MDC soon after the demise yavatangira say kusina kuti kwa Congress. The reason is because vanhu vangaoroma structures anakupe nanangonzora chichi vaisa la Chamisa. That's why angasina mbobvira I want to sit in the first place. That's why Changirai akaita we appoint nechigunwe not nema votes personally kuti uyu our vice president, because aisadiwa ma structures. Say aisadiwa ma structures because vanhu ma structures vanga vasinei nezvaidiwa oro nezvainzaidiwa nevanhu, vanga vasinei nezvido zvevanhu, vanga vaine basa nemari nekuita maintain power in the political party, within the political party. So the worst case scenario, which can also be a best case scenario, is when a political party inokwanisa kuita president with political party asiri president asiri presidential candidate. So Coupe can be a president with MDC T, and let's say they get back together. Chamisa autorana for president, Coupe oramba ari president with MDC T, but anoramba angorine power because anokwanisa kuita recall anytime, any moment. tiri panyawo yemarikowi, how can these be stopped? Remember memorandum of understanding yaiti principal party inoramba inechi power nema roles over their candidate, and recall is based on sponsoring the candidate organization, sponsoring organization, and yakasponsor member, then pamunenda ku court, ku nomination court pepe muchida no contesta, right? Paneni kwa political party list, but muno sign up, muno nyera futi ma form where people nominate you, where individuals nominate you. So recalling is a breach of constitutional rights. The vanhu vakanominata, the individuals that nominated, those individuals that nominated can recall. Sorry. Those individuals that nominated cannot recall, but recall affect my rights hour because vakanominata kuti uyu shout ningirikini atimirire. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us, guys. Network every time I find is bijana, but anyways, intuitions are a little bit steady right now, so that can be a loophole that can be used because the constitution is the supreme law. Constitution is above everything and every other law. Anyways, mutemo uripo foot wekuti sponsoring party should recall you. So panesco political party list, you will start up kana repo list. Now MDC alliance against a political party list, MDC alliance zvekuti uyu ndewe MDCT, uyu ndewe BTS PDP. It was all coming muma agreement manje eku alliance neku MDCT kuti vanoziva sei kuti uyu member yedu uyu haasi. Ndofunza mvunzo wekuti panoitwa recall ma MP kupe achiziva sei kuti member of parliament uyu akajoina alliance in his capacity as an MDC Changirai member, because already we are seeing kuti kupe akatotanga party yake MDC tokozana ikakondesa ma election vakazotanga imwe alliance. Remember there are two MDC alliance kwa Changirai ne MDC alliance yako ezvinezvi yakuchita fully fledged political party. There are two different alliances. That's why you see kuti mu alliance iriko amuna ZACC. Then we ask the question here, BTP akasungo kwa harvest house IT, so we can understand the gimmick, political gimmick that is happening here. Two battles of the mvunzo ma part 2 aya arikushanda esiri vanhu variveka.
For starters, Stanley was a hard worker, a very hard worker, working person. As an instructor, I recall he would wake us up at 3 or 4 in the morning to go for physical training. We used to do our runs during that time. Then around 6 or thereabouts, we would then do the actual physical exercises. The running was to warm us up and then go into. And Stanley would wake up at any time when he needed to and do what needed to be done. So he was a very hard worker. From being an instructor to being a member of the High Command, he remained hardworking. In 1980, when we came home, we went into assembly points, and again, Stanley remained Stanley, a hardworking person, humble, hardworking, and patriotic.
Our defense forces are
But take note of the combination of words. Paneyanzi stayed humble, hardworking, and patriotic. As you can see from the presentation in this video, General Valerio Sibanda is pushing something. Showing the humbleness. He's pushing it the way he's presenting in a humility. Is this a message that is going somewhere to someone? Because Moon cannot tell me a message. Who knows that I message yangu. Anyways, let's continue.
known as the chief custodians of the revolutionary legacy. So from your informed perspective,
not journalists and but custodians of the revolutionary legacy. Custodians of the revolutionary legacy. Kunema custodians of the revolutionary legacy. Simba iroro vanorowana kupi? Where is the claim coming from? To make somebody be a custodian of the revolutionary legacy. Chinoda munhu aite custodian ye-revolutionary legacy. She is because they are the people, the one who made that sacrifice yekuenda kuhondo. So as long as hondo yakaenderwa kunzi vanhu vawane zvakati, kana vasiri kuzviwana, whoever is fueling that is a sellout, and whoever is remaining true to this legacy is a custodian of this legacy. You can only be a custodian when you are still true. Take note of the use of language. Take note of my words ari kushandiswa. Madhara kana achitaura nevanhu avangotauri zvinoplanwa, right? Takuda kudai so takuda kudai so. So he says humility, hard working. Humility, hard working, true to the legacy. Big up to Queen Tsuma. Dumisani Shigwa says kuitira munhu azotora ma properties. Yes, now we are say ma political party assets achiiswa mumazita. So private political party yes ine ma assets are mustare private. I mean vanhu, I mean democracy, because vanhu vane zvipo zvekutonga nekutungamira vanhu vakawanda. It's not only one person, it's not only 5 people, and we have a lot of people, we have a lot of talent. But in a democratic party, how are assets owned by private individuals when a party is supposed to be for the people, to be owned by the people, to be owned by everybody? That's why political parties are regulated entities. So issue yema recall, my MPs are to recall if they don't want to be recalled. I don't know what someone MDC and PDP. Can alliance in my capacity as an independent, in my individual capacity, because apana proof that's what MDC except for a few people varumuzvigaro zviripadenga denga. Job Skalangaro MDC 95 MDCN Kupe cannot recall. BT ndewe PDP Kupe cannot recall. Apana ari kubvuma kuti takaita memorandum of understanding ya tight principal party inoramba ichikwanisa kuita recall ma members achona. Right? So when there is a protest, how is a protest popularized? Protest inoitwa popular nekusungwa kwevanhu. So kana uri politician wewe, opposition yako yobva yaita protest, unovatumira mapurisa nemasoja here kana uchida kuti protest iyo ishaye basi, kana kuti you just ignore it? Unoita sei ipapo? Let's continue analyzing together. Dumisani Shirwa says analysis dzenyu kuseri hanzi, okay, hanzi analysis dzenyu kuseri pamarowa pe alliance gimmick to remove us from the status quo. Personally, I'm not saying it's an alliance, I'm not saying it's ZANPF, I'm not saying they are not, I'm not saying anything. But we are talking about people, individuals in both political parties, individuals in the government. Kanarima MP, pavai campaign avaiwena zvinhu vawina vakazomirira vanhu here. Anditi ko ma MP kana muchitiri vashoma muparliament, muri kunoita parliament papa ini nawe kuti vakambonzi itai boycott, regedzai zvese zvakaramba vese nevamwe vasina vaitwa recall vachona. Anditi kuma party kwese same things. What I think we should do, one of the things we should do, Zimbabweans, we should join all the political parties. Let us join all the political parties. That join MTC, that join ZANPF, that join munhu wese ngajoin political party yese. Paniti kwa maningiri ma structures, my election kuma cell level, kuma province level, tiri within the political party. Let us join all political parties, because we can do that. Anyways, we do not have access to information. Fellow Zimbabweans and ordinary Zimbabwean right now are in Zimbabwe Izvezvi. Ukamvuta vanhu vakabatwa nevari kunzi vakabatwa take note of the word vari kunzi vakabatwa neCovid-19 ukatasa namba yacho kuti ukada kuvunza munhu anoziva kuti vangani hapana ane information. All the drama that's happening for social media vanhu vari kuZimbabwe hapana ane information. Big up to Manas Chibanda, Dumisani Chirwa, thank you very much. Hansi kuizo zvinora zvedu mauto achafane nzara tikaita zvekutamba, don't worry azvisvike ikoko. Glory Hunter, looking at his face, he indeed a worried individual regarding kuba kwakunyadzisa. Respect, let ZACC comrade, not Amasela Lawa. Amazing Grace, your message, there is a lot of context in that message, and it all makes sense to a certain degree, but it's one of those ugly truths. I can see which wakavurika. Prosper Marombeze says Ndiripo Madi, enough respect. So the format has always been the same. An ordinary Zimbabwean anokwanisa kuvarika. Musoja anongonotrainwa achangobva kuchikoro. Musoja anokwanisa kuvharwa nemaprofesa akatrainwa kuma university. Right? Because musoja basa rake nderekuenda kuhondo nekuita zvaanoita kuti zvinhu zvinakire vanhu. That's why ma socialists asingafani kushanda nema-capitalists. But right now muZimbabwe chikuita problem yekuti minister mu-capitalist, minister antone company yaari CEO asi ma-civil servants haabvumidzwe kuita run another business risiri civil servant. Saka kana vanhu vari kutimirira vachida kutimirira ngavatange nema-civil servants ese anosenza muhurumende, mucabinet, muparliament ane ma-private business ngavasungwe necorruption. Vese vane ma-political party ane mazita mavo ngavasungwe necorruption. Ma-PMSEC, permanent secretary, civil servant zvakare. Handiti amendo vari under civil service commission kana kuti chii, but kana munhu kusenzera hurumende kana uchisenza ma-TM aufana kupinda mucompetition yema-TM, aufana kungo chino apply matenda even hama dzako futi nevanhu kumba kwenyu. Handiti saka vari kuzviti vari kumirira vanhu kana vachida kumirira vanhu ngavamirire issues that really matter, kwete ma-issues etambo bhurugwa rine tambo chichi. They matter, but ma-secondary issues are. So what are the things that matters? What are the issues that really matter? Who is diverting us? Political gimmick. Who is playing with us? Azvinenge kuti munhu ndeyekubatwa ripi. Remember guys, secret society ndoye kutonga. Queen Bee chaiye kwete kuda tagwirei komchina wekushuda munhu. Simba iroro akariwana kupi? Kushuda kwakaitwa munhu nemuchina fellow Zimbabweans kana asina kufa. Anditi because akamushuda kuti afe here kana akamushuda kuti akware mibvunzo. Kana asina kufa ko muchina uyu aisa senda message here kuZambia. maZambians akutonze maforeigner nemachina. Ko muchina paari kuuya muZimbabwe munomu achita basa rakati hatikwanisi kurita here, tinomunida here. Ko pavakauya vachivaka chihospital yeduku vachiita repair hospital uye yakazoripewa because yaida kuripewa here kana yakaripewa because yakabuda pamedia, pasocial media. So we are having a few people, few individuals vari pasocial media nemamwe maplatform who are really standing up for the people. Then we have a few vanonyora ma-headline andaunzikwa nevanhu vanotaura information irregular yekunyeba just for views, just for money. Who is really genuine? Ndiani ari pachokwadi? Ndiani ari kumirira vanhu? Nyika inozombofa yakanaka kana tisina vanhu vari kumirira vanhu, because kana munhu akapinda mupower, whichever office, they will stay true to their agenda. The big question, agenda yake ndeipi? Zimbabweans do not have access to information. Saka tikazona ikonet ichidhurisa data, nyaya dzemuzistrive masiwa aipersecutwa aiitwa sei inhau dzechokwadi here kana kuti psychology, ma-laws of power, the art of war, you know, kana munhu achida kudiwa make them the victim chichi. But vanhu vari vese zvavo muchuni, because muZimbabwean anofana kushaya access to information, anofana kutadza kuafforda data. so that agare ari blind, agare asingazive, vasatenderedzana information. Information ine basa kuMzimbabwe ndeyipi uye ichapinda kuvanhu sei, who is really genuine, who is really true to Zimbabwe. Ezvinezvi leaders edu, those who can be listened to, whether are in power kana asi power right now, if they decide on a path kuti Zimbabwe we should start moving in this path, and they start speaking on issues that really matter, Zimbabwe will never be the same again. So this is where we are going. Give information to Zimbabweans, information on issues that matter. It's unfortunate kuti atina a national program yema youth edu, you know, yekudzidzisa ma youth kuda nyika. Kana munhu ari kuAmerica, makamuona kuti ma-Americans, they are proud of being Americans. Chakat, because I am an American. Chakat, because I am an American. Chakat, they are taught that. Isusu right now we enjoy kugadzira zvima memes, tichiwanzira nyika yedu, tichiwanzira mari yedu. Ndosaka vanhu vari kuramba mabondage nyangwa zvavagara vari mabondage notes akatamwa nana Chinamasa nana Mangunja vachinyebedzera ngatoda vanhu. And but we hate our own. Anotanga nekuramba mari yedu ndisu, the people, we. Anokwidza rate ndisu. But it's not the problem, it's not the thing that really matter. What matters ndechekuti rate yachinaisiti yakwira. Chakada itange kumbokwira pachibva Mugabe, ndimutuli Mube, utterances, achita political business cycle, PBC, achiita to stimulate market economy. That's why mabhengi akabva apinza two currencies over ati bond. Vati bond nechi ne RTGS, real time goes mari neisiri mari, because money is not a money is a medium. What is the real money? The real money is in assets, the real money is in value, right? So banks can create money from thin air, maloni, treasury bills, etc. And zvinhu izvozvo zvikasatata tally, zvikasatata balance, nyika inoita chikwereti. Both domestic debt pazim switch ne international debt pakuti vanhu with money that don't exist, they are importing. Ezvinezvipane nawe kuti motikari dze 117,000 dzakanzi 400,000 muhurumende. Ichadzoka here mari? Ijustice here kana gunimba ari pahouse arrest because akaimporta motikari vanyeba kamari mbijana kashoma vatobhadhara duty nema US. But mumwe wedu mu-indigenous, self-made, and a business really legit, looting for my business evamwe vamwe, and ari kutwa soni take. But kune vakati motikari 400,000 kuita zvema covid kuti hanzi ma test kits varakataringa ma test kits mangani ko ma test kits atainzi akadonetwa dzanga dziri nawo here iwayo vachina overcharge pakunzi paisvika namba dzakashota. Who is really for the people? And what do we need to do right now? We need to focus on things that really matter. But what are the things that really matter right now? Tinofanira kuti tine manifesto yenyika yemaZimbabweans isina ine political party kuti right now we are taking step A, step B, step C. Pa solution ipapo hatisi kuda murungu. We have maZimbabweans vane zvipo entrepreneurship who can invest. We have maZimbabweans ane mari. Hatisi kuda muChina. Zimbabwean first. Of course, if you are a white Zimbabwean, bro, you are a white Zimbabwean. Anditika. But in the meantime, more opportunities ngambo ya kune vanga vasina more opportunities. Kwete zvoti case coven tinopuwa rimwe farm futi. Iye akatombokwanisa kuswimira nyika kuti uswimire nyika umirire nyika. Mukana wacho unowanika sei? Ni segregation, compartmentalization inoitika munyika munomu. That's why you see kuti kana bank rine ningirikini iri kuBorodale, branch iri kuBorodale, for example EcoBank kuBorodale ndokune kuchinamatwa murungu, and not kuti EcoBank ansikurasa muromo. It's deliberate. I say it as it is. An enemy of Zimbabwe is an enemy of mine, and it's my duty to uphold the constitution of Zimbabwe ende kana zvinhu zvanetsa stereki muvengi to defend what is your own anoiswa pfuti yangu muromo wangu handiti, asi mutengesi anoiswa pfuti because it is a duty. mapanzivisa apa dai ndiri pastor ndingadenda kuti haleluya vanhu vamwari mapanzwa here apa mababata here apa maiwana revelation. It is my duty and your duty to uphold the constitution of Zimbabwe and to preserve the legacy of Chimurenga if we still have any. So ngatisavhunduke guys, vari kutora maassets vachizvipa maassets enyika vachiita sei nyange vaine matitle deeds vaine chichi. Ngatisavhunduke zvedu. CheZimbabwe ndecheZimbabwe. Land belongs to the nation. Zimbabwe belongs to the nation. It will always belong to a Zimbabwean. That's a law above any other law.
How is the defense office of Zimbabwe that consolidating the legacy of all revolutionary icons, including the late Congress?
Well, the first thing that we are trying to do is to remain focused on why we went to the liberation struggle, why we participated in the liberation struggle. And remember, this was an issue of one man, one vote, where black Zimbabweans were not allowed to vote by the colonial regime. Number two, we wanted our land back. Some may be aware that we had a lot of Zimbabweans who had, black Zimbabweans who were displaced from their
Take note, Panozi, we had a lot of Zimbabweans. He says Zimbabweans, then he corrects himself, he says black Zimbabweans.
Ancestral Zimbabweans who had, black Zimbabweans who were displaced from their ancestral lands.
Why did he specify we have a lot of Zimbabweans, black Zimbabweans? Kesti Coventry antora farm rangarira zhuwawo. We did a video here tikati say up wa farm ra zhuwawo. Of all the people, is this sending a message? Nyaya vanza vaenda kukoti zvazi quest yakawina kandi akambowina amen kwakutumira message here. Why correct himself up to Zimbabwe, black Zimbabweans, right? So it's unfortunate a lot of Zimbabweans look at who is speaking for them to start listening.
To other lands within the country because the whites wanted that land. There are a lot of people in that category who were displaced and moved on to Kunana Gokwe, Ivana Chief Raketangwena, for example. There are people who were moved from Matebele and also to Nana Gokwe. And so there were all these issues surrounding.
He talks about Kuti. There were people who were moved from Anamatebele and Kunana Gokwe. He mentions those two places. He mentions Matebele land and Gokwe. A lot of people think Kuti, the fight that happened between Debele and Shona was a fight between Debele and Shona. No. It was not a fight between Debele and Shona. It was a fight yekuti varungu vanga vasara vari kumaprazi nenhau yekuti independence takazoita yekupuwa. Handiti vanhu vakatirowa nebrain havana kusarenda, vakanyebera kusarenda vachitipa independence. Chobva tata reconciliation zvikanzi mugabe good boy nani na queen, right? So zvikanzi ko varungu vasara ka tipe minda handiti zvenyu zvekuti langesta murungu tora willing by willing paakauya achiba land achisa vanhu mumareserves mulockdown akamboti vanhu tikuita nengirikini here tikuita willing buyer willing seller anangotora here vanhu ngavadzoserwe ivhu. Then the imperialists had to make sure that Zimbabwe's story can never be a success because Africa will do land reform program. Tikatumirwa zvirwere, tikatumirwa zvirwere zvakawanda, masanctions ubva ambanywa vanhu ava kuna masanctions. Ukanzwa munhu anotanga kuna masanctions handitika masanctions akaisirwei kuti zvinhu zviome vanhu vaite regime change handitika but aisiriwo nyaya nhau ndeye kungoti zvinhu hazvifaniri kufa zvakafaya because mazimbabweans atora land they will become an example to other Africans. They will start wanting their land. Anyways, 2008 we go through a depression, a recession, 10 years of suffering we are suffering through because kana vanhu musina hufu makashandisa hufu when you wait for the next 30 days handitika kuti nzara yayo ipere munogona kuenda for the next 30 days musingadye muchita suffer through a depression. You suffer through it handiti kana munogona kutora kuti for next month but for next month maakudya half meal muchikava until you catch up. So we went through that process in Zimbabwe and we suffered 10 years. Then Zimbabwe became the second largest informal economy in the world. Mazimbabweans vachitenga magonyeti, vachitenga mabhazi, vachitanga mabusiness, ma-entrepreneurs, different kind of businesses. Pakabuda ma-businesses akawanda. One of them is Kuda Kwashita Girei, who was a product of indigenization. Of course, pachinzi indigenization, farm mechanization. Of course, vanhu vaiba masidzi, vamwe tikaona mapicture nemabuchi arimo, vachiba chichi machine. But it was benefiting even right now in Zimbabwe as we speak. People are getting seeds, people are getting monies, people are getting equipment. Right now is but corruption iri pamberi. Munhu asiri aggressive mu Zimbabwe asingafumure vanhu asinga awani anything. That's why ndichiti my fellow Zimbabweans, if you are harassed and ukarambidzwa chinhu chauri entitled to, itawo chirekota video, tipe information, to expose information, because some of us are already dead, because this is not a life. Right? That's why we don't like sellouts, because munhu anokubira chikafu akafanira munhu arikukuraya is not your friend, is your enemy. Right? So we suffer through. Then somebody in 2016 says, you Zimbabweans, you don't know how to use the US dollar. I am going to cause cash shortages deliberately. Not because we have any problem, because I want to push you fools to start banking your money so that we who know what to do with money can use it, because you are misusing the US dollar. So give us your real money and we're going to give you numbers and we're going to give you bondages. Right? Because custodian chaanoziya kubata futi, custodian chaanoziya kuona African movie nema local drama, custodian ndini newe, custodian is an ordinary person. Custodian munhu wekuti ukarombudza kuti ndindauleta kuravhura chechi ukangotaparidza kuti ungotuka vanhu vakavenga chete, vanhu vakuti munhu yandira zvine musoro. For example, Apostle Chiwenga, simple fact yekuti vanongotuka chete munhu akavengwa nevanhu, but ukadausitaura kuti zvine musoro zvinotaurwa. And take note, ndanguti Apostle Chiwenga because ndo vari padhuze. I have nothing personal against him, but ndikuda kuti muone pfungwa kuti maZimbabweans ukabuda uchituka vanhu vakavengwa unobvonzi uyu ane musoro. Handisi kuti vanofanira kutukwa ngavasatukwe, asi kutukwa chete. Remember things that really matter. Handiti tarisai spelling ya meta wangu, things that really matter. Take note of the spelling of matter. It's deliberate. It's a deliberate spelling. We are talking about things that really matter. What are the things that really matter? So if I put MATER, What does this mean? Meta hii inoreve chii? Spelling ya meta chachaende yipi? Anyways, does it matter on things that matter? Can you see that things that don't matter can actually divert our attention and we can waste a lot of time tichitaura things that do not matter? Kana mbavha dzabirana haiwawo dzawacha, siyai mbavha dzibirane hadzine inesu.
The issue of that very emotional, emotive issue,
And we wanted
that
Take note, very emotional motive issue. So gukura wundi wondo yeva ndebele nemashona yanga isiri wondo yema ndebele nemashona murungu anga asikuda kubva praz ubva itoto vanhu vanetsane pachavo, divide and rule, do issue, and it's an emotional issue. That one, it's an emotional issue. That one, gardener ave kutenga 9 loaves nepay yake. So fellow Zimbabweans, who is really for the Zimbabweans? What is the solution right now? Do we have anybody representing the people? What are we going to do? The issue information. How are we going to keep the masses of Zimbabwe informed? And what can we do right now to change all that? Fellow Zimbabweans, tikatungamirwa tikata protest, tichitungamirwa nem sell out. Achangonogara mu office ku Lancaster House. Over apuwa zvinhu. Iye kana rweva kwachagara meeting anditi. So tinofana kuona kuti who is for the people. Recently tine vasikana vakabuda vachituma protest anditika kutuma protest not in an office as they were small, they mattered. Those girls, we saw them, we saw their images, they were real, they were for the people. But avafariri way because they are competition also anditika. Remember tine vamwe vanenge vakafeka so that pavanenge vari muhospital vabhadharwe mari anditika. But ukada uzobvunza kuti vai protesta sei vasina kuenda pasocial media neprotest yavo vachibuda vari live, you know. So who is for the people? What really matters? What are the issues that matter right now? It's not about political party. We have secret societies that are really, really running things in the background right here in Zimbabwe.
position reversed so that we could get our land back. Also, we went
to war in order to restore the dignity of the black person. During colonial Rhodesia,
there was no dignity for the black person.
Restore the dignity of the black person. Unonyimwa mari weswa futi. Yapira.
You couldn't walk in First Street.
you have heard that before. It's true. You could not come into town. You needed a letter from some DA somewhere to say you're allowed to come into town.
Take note now, we at Samba. Why is that Bumiru Akuyam town? Why to that Samba? She's which can go in COVID-19. Fellow Zimbabweans, Zimbabwe mono mpazua kusina COVID-19 kuno kwa wana wangani pazua per day. They can pay minimum, a stupidly minimum number, a stupidly low number. Let's say in every town. Mtown yega. Kati kweke kado machegu chichi kuno fa munhu 1. Tikachinja vanhu ivava tikavanyora kuti COVID-19 vafa neCovid-19 muzimbabwe muno mungada muchifa more than 10 people pazuva neCovid-19 handitika zvingadai tichingozviudzwa zvingadai handitika ipapa pandikutaura nyaya iri global ipapa ndatopedza napo. Let's continue.
Because you're working there, so there was just no dignity for the black man, and we needed that restored. So these are some of the reasons why we went to war.
when we were out there, we were taught, and this remained the position until sometime after independence, when maybe some of us became wayward. We were taught to share. Whatever was available was shared equally. And I remember the Rhodesians.
Hansi, whatever was there was shared equally, not austerity, where somebody else is suffering and somebody else is enjoying and blabbering and flubbering. No. Share zviripo with your people. Chiripo izvezvi. Anditi inozvitaundaona kuti mafigure pe mari auction 10 million total. 10 million mari shoma utoshaya kuti chi.
Ran a campaign of trying to demonize the guerrilla leaders. I remember there was some leaflets that they drew where they put a guerrilla leader there, sitting there with a big plate full of food, and then a subordinate sitting there with nothing. That was all intended to...
Now, I'm gonna rewind it. Vakavhurika pfungwa vochiteerera apa. Kana uri mbavha wakateerera video inoi, tine nzara shamwari. A hungry man is an angry man. Anditika kune the human survival instinct munhu akaitwa dehumanized. Anytime yaanoita anotanga aitwa broken oita dehumanized. Then there comes a time when a person no longer has any feelings.
With a big plate full of food, some leaflets that they drew where they...
Take note, leaflets were the social media of that time. A picture, and take note of the word demonize also. What is he talking about here? Kuneanga chizwa video nemvo tanga arutonzwisisa. This one I'm not gonna say it. Let's continue.
Put a guerrilla leader there, sitting there with a big plate full of food, and then a subordinate sitting there with nothing. That was all intended to destroy that which we had, that value of sharing that was being cultivated amongst us. It's unfortunate that after independence, some of us...
So guys, ku-expose corruption haisi mhosva. Anditika exposing corruption haisi mhosva. Kufumura nharadada haisi mhosva. But kana uchi-expose corruption inogona kuita mhosva kune wauri kuexposa. Oshandisa maresource ako asiri ake pauri. But anyways, politics is politics. Politics is a dirty game. Politics will always be politics. To calm down the people, to stop real leaders with passion for the people who really love people, to stop them from ever emerging. You create your own. You create a wrestling, drama, acting, chefeki. You create an English Premier League. You don't know what that true boy sana mabura akati. Kuchwa tite mari ne betting. Titambirise wakomana wanotitambira millions per week. But patron ya sharing. Premier League wrestling sharing humanity. Right now, pane now ye cheap, now ye digital currency, now ye kubana real money. We know kuti grab ye mujanyeriri. First of all, iri pa create a banking system. Number 2, ye kutora mari yako iri real okupa manamba nema card. Tikaipota ipapa. Tichatorerwa mari yese. Factors of production is 3: land, labor, and wealth. Wealth is not money, because money is not money. Money is an IOU. Money is not money. Money is receipt re wealth. Gold nespa ku bank where receipt. Anyway, ndo zvakafira mukomana Gaddafi, because I doubt Africa it's a gold backed currency. Vakomana ku America vachiti no, isusu US dollar redu fiat value is not based on anything. Chinokuita kuti US dollar tenge inauye people's faith in it, people's value in it. Nenauye kuti nyika dzatakadzvanyirira takadzimanikidza kuti tengesai petrol yenyu nemanhingirikini nema US dollars kainonzi petrol dollar. Ndio hondo iripo, hondo yeAmerica neChina nyango zvavo vari vamwe chete pakudzvanyira vanhu vatema ndeyekuti China wida kuti fuel itengeswe nemayenu. So value ye US dollar iri pabelief yevanhu. It's not real value. And so manje ukacreate a bond, rebond, double bond. That's why it's a bondage, because it's bondage, it's literal bondage. You are bound, you are in bondage. And it's not a play with words. A bond is a sign for bondage. When you have a bond, you have nothing. You are bound. When you have US dollar also, you have nothing. You are bound. But when you have maize, when you have gold, when you have land, then indeed you are rich. So what is independence? When some of them still own our mines, the majority of buildings in Harare there, those were the issues. Dzakakonzera kuti murungu abva asponsa hondo yemushona nemundebele. Izvezvi so usina kumbofunga mafacts, majority yevanhu havatodi kuti muZimbabwe munomu position yakati iendwe nemunhu ane surname yechindebele kana kuti position yakati kubulawayo iendwe nemunhu ane surname yechishona. That should stop. How do we stop it? We need to go back to things that matter. How do we spread the information? How do we organize? What steps? We need the People's Manifesto, not manifesto yema political party yekuti ma assets yema political party aiswe mastama individuals, not manifesto yekuti vanhu vaite protest dzekuti vamwe vanhu vawane mabasa yekuti torera zvinhu zvedu. This is an emotional issue. Let's continue.
We went wayward and we started amassing wealth, we started getting involved in corruption and so on. But we were taught to share. And it's a value that
bear with me guys, bear with me. Something is happening here. Enough respect to everybody who is watching us live right about now. So we're going to continue with the second segment of this thing, where we continue and finish the rest of this video. What should we do right now? Twitter say nenyika yedu izvezvi. What are the things that matter right now? Chii chine basa izvezvi. How do we restore dignity muvanhu? Tine maZimbabweans ari kurwadziwa, maZimbabweans anoda nyika yavo right now, but havazivi kuti voita sei, because vamwe havasi kuteererwa, vamwe vanotaura zvinhu zvine sense. So common sense is not common. What should we do with Zimbabwe right now? Big up to Tinotenda Michael, Maskanda Batai, Kudzanai. Dumisani Chirwa says we can use social media. Social media, Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe do not have access to social media. Take note, maZimbabweans are in Zimbabwe. Ava afford social media. Don't go around the prices at that from Zimbabwe. I'm just going to try and show you Anyways, the phone is off. Prices for data, but you can research. Basically, one US dollar equivalent the data. You go play a video while you better pay, right? Just show my data. It's really expensive. Just for me to stream this video 2 hours, right? I'm using 4 or 5 gig just to stream. Now I'm streaming into a playback video about 480p into streamer up and at 810k. You see, Zimbabweans do not have access to social media. Uye nyango data direct riripo vanhu havana skills, vanhu vazhinji havagoni kutoita log in. Izvo so as we speak vanhu havagoni kudownload the application vazhinji. We're talking about the majority mu app store anditika ichipinda muningirikeni mufoni achisi balance. Anyways, we didn't have the exposure and azvisi zvedu zvechi-African, not kuti ma-African havafanira technology, havafanira kuita chii. No, when you start nechunhu from zero, you understand it better, is built in you. So we need to start somewhere back from the roots. If you are learning anything, if you are learning computer science, anditika cannot this is a computer science, cannot not computer science, let's say computer engineering, computer science, electronic engineering, unotanga kubva kuziya kuti binary chi, binary isati ya computer, binary ichiri kumagetsi, anditika ubvunza kuti okay, ma IC, integrated circuit, anditika kune ma transistor, ma end, ma oro, ma not gate, you know, all those things. Okay, binary system inotangira kumagetsi, inotangira kuma IC, kuma integrated circuit, so that you understand programming. But ichiri ku hardware, because hardware and software is the same thing, but you can never understand a computer hardware engineering kana usina kuziya from zero kuti magetsi ese inyaya yema switch kuti on and off chete. Alright, so we need to start from somewhere. People do not have information, vanhu havatogoni kutoshandisa application yacho kana ya downloadwa, kungave kutenga airtime, kungave kuita sei. Can you unlock? Right, hazvina basa zvangofanira kusagona kutaura chirungu. It doesn't matter. That's why you see I never attempt to have a accent yechifambi or snobbish accent. You know, guys, live here on 77, you know, I'm making a region and we now be broadcasting, guys. You see, we live and we making things and we actually, you know, I'm too going to okay, pane different poetic and to go to it accent yechifambi chocho and it sell out snobbish. Chinotona no vazhinji nyango ndikatry apa panda kuti accent ye presentation maybe a poetry. All right, so I doesn't matter. That's why I never bother, you see, because it doesn't matter. What are the things that matter? What are the things that matter? Because the devil want to divert your attention, but Christians today, we're going to talk about things that matter. We are not talking about kutambuzika ndeke pasi ufumi uri kudenga. No, dai zviri zvodai kusina kwachimurenga pasi ndipo kunakirwa denga riri pano. Nenawe kuti vamwe vari mugehena, vamwe vari kudenga. Ubva kuti sazimanyaya kanzi mudazaro nemufumi ana uzoenda kudenga chichi. This is the gospel of prosperity, social prosperity. That's why ndichifara murume anonzi makandiwa not on the basis of religion or namagaya. They are just motivators. They motivate people. But of course kune mamwe prophets anoudzwa zvichaitika, so that they tell people, so that people can anticipate, you know, the preempting, right? They exist. Vamwe vanoiswa kuti vanzwe information. Dumisani, thank you very much for that one. So Zimbabweans do not have access to social media. They don't. A few that do have, kana vari online vanotsvaga zvinhu that relate to us. That's why you see kuti maprogram eshona anditika pa YouTube, they get a huge following. MuZimbabwe muno ukaita comedy yako nechirungu aife yakaonekwa, kana ukaita nechirungu chechisnob anditi do nezvinhu zvinorelata vanhu. Kana uchiacta short drama ngarirelate nevanhu kunge wadiwa pamoyo, right? Mufana ane dream, chichi, love story, real issues, kwete kuita ma-issues ekuti vanhu vese vanenge vaine mazijagwa ipapo, chichi, rich life. No, only a few sellouts can relate to that. That's why I'm sure that only people who are not slaying chichi don't want to. But if you look in Zimbabwe, some people have a followership. Say Tilda aine followership, fellowship kufura vanhu vakawanda ma DJ Star FM is because she is real to the people. Anotaura things that matter. Arereva vanhu vamwari, things that matter for a Zimbabwean. You see, Bustop TV, they make comments, they chichi, but what they are simply doing is my challenge videos. They just talk about current affairs. Shona things that matter. Things that matter. Take a look. Trending page radio tine arikuita vakuru comedy. Angotedzera dressing ya ED chichi. Arikuita zvakene Shona kusanyira shasha kuita say. Andika because those who know Zimbabwe, Jack Fraser is the biggest artist of our time right now in Zimbabwe. Kune vantofunga kuti vamwe vanemba chirungu vachinoza vanogona sei vasingati avateererwe because they do not matter. It's un-Zimbabwean, it's unnatural. This is our music. And it's things that matter. Things that matter. Right? Then we are seeing also Chamisa says kupeketa kuti wako is house aite chi anga pa birthday rimwe mwana ane 2 years. Wachita zvaita, I don't know if it is things that matter because it's unethical to say mwana ane 2 years does not matter. But chienda ne position yachona arisiro basa ringada chona na or those strength is the people's president or those ringada chona na Olinda. We have all right. But anyways, comic awards Zimbabwe in social media clips chichi nekaona mumwe akatedzera kuti ake ma comic awards, but is actually getting views also. Because this is what matters kune Zimbabweans. Shona content inaenderana nesu and it becomes big. It's as simple as that because they are not focusing on what doesn't matter kune Zimbabwean. There is money to be made in Zimbabwe. There are jobs to be created in Zimbabwe. There are opportunities to be created in Zimbabwe. Ngoni zase karamba. Enough respect, guys. I think right now I'm gonna sign out, guys. We're gonna continue on this subject tomorrow. Time zaenda. But the reason why you see a lot of people complain kuti ma video arebesa kune ma sellouts kune vanhu ninge vachida kuinfluencer vanhu ukaona ma comments anenge achiti ma video akareba tinenge tisina data kwa munhu aswa tinenge ta nopozewa tichi munhu uyu ada kuinfluencer vanhu anditi kazhinji mukatasa anenge ane kachannel kake kaita fail YouTube but ndikupa ma few tips up things that matter. You end up trending, you just imitate what's happening. You learn through copying. And it kwete kuda kuita jealousy, kuda kuita fight munhu because vamwe vanhu they are extremists. You see? And it then we have some vanonga tongoti kwataka chichi ya first year auskuvhura masoka neka Africa screen rimwe ri padenga pa rimwe ri pasi anditika ukuze vanhu does that matter. Right now you see I have a presentable presentation chichi background zakachuna blue pane chi blue pane scrolling text. Anyway, enough respect to Prince Niza. Thank you very much for that 10 US PayPal donation maizia because zvinotibatsira kutenga data because kuzol kune ma satanist we are secret society basa rekuzanyirira information that matters kuti vanhu vasaone information that matter. But anyway, I'm dealing with them and tomorrow pandikuita marounds angu tenge chidila nawo court in their individual capacities because it's an individual who is causing my suffering, so we deal with them individually. What are the things that matters? Those who are watching right now, guys, expand on this message. give it order, give it format, make it brief, make it understandable. Play your part. Kune vanhu vanenge raise questions for the sake of debate, like what I do. These are theses, hypotheses, these are philosophies. We need then to expurgate on them, expand on them. Otherwise, I am deliberately incongruent. And the incongruency of incongruent is also deliberate. That's why I say incongruent. Because in saying incongruent, I'm actually staying in the lane of incongruency. It's deliberate incoherence also. And I say incoherence for the same reason, to maintain the incoherence and the incongruency. Dr. Clarence is the name. TV7 Live is the channel. Let's stay on things that matter and resolve internet yakadakwa.
Exclusive.